it from every scumbag in town.
They didn't earn it. I don't feel bad about taking it.
It's all about bringing force down on the street. Y'all take a look at what you got going on under your own roof.
I never put the money above us.
How long you think that's gonna last?
I don't want Vic in our lives anymore.
You're investigating me?
Vic Mackey beats suspects. He deals drugs. And that's just all in one day. I wonder what he's gonna do tomorrow.
Everybody down! Hey, my day's just getting started.
And hello, sorry for the slight delay in starting because my internet went down right before we were about to go live. So hopefully it will maintain. But if I suddenly disappear, it's really windy out at the moment. So I imagine there may be some weather factors, extremely sort of hurricane levels. So if I do disappear, I'm sure my panel will ably carry on. First up, where the weather is even more beautiful than London, it's the Northern English Bastard. Hello.
Morning, evening, you beautiful bastards. I do apologise. I'm just getting my notes ready for the stream. I do apologise.
I feel like I just woke you up. That's the kind of like, what's going on? I mean, I'm in bed. I'm live. Oh my god.
I know. I'm just finishing a few little things here as well, but but it should be ready now.
Great. Okay. I didn't do notes for this episode, but I have watched it 3 times in the last couple of days, so hopefully that'll be enough. We also have the man who can on all sides of the law, Lord of Toxicity.
Hello, my fellow toxic minions. How are you?
Very good. I like it when you do your evil voice. So then we also have Darth Plato, the man with varying audio degrees of technicality. Good to see you again. And last but by no means least, my regular co-host for this section, the Inside Man. Save the best to last.
Bless you. And it's my birthday today.
Yes, happy birthday, Inside Man. How old are you?
I mean, 65 is a pretty big milestone, man. So
don't listen to him. Don't listen to him, Inside Man. Now, we all know you're not a day over 60.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, is it really your birthday?
It is really my birthday. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, well, my birthday was on the 20th.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Good. One more. Lightest Natalis to be, Inside Man.
I beg your pardon?
Lightest Natalis to be.
Okay, I'm just going to warn you. It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday. People may not, be able to absorb these kinds of metaphorical meanings. But we'll come back to that. Hello to Wormy Spoons. Good to see that Trump is in the chat as well. He's signing an executive order to pardon Vic Mackey. Don't forget, not everyone on the panel has seen the whole show yet. I know myself, Tox, and Darth have. But Inside Man, you're watching them as you're going along.
Yeah.
Which is very noble of you. I don't think I would have been able to resist going ahead.
Now,
Northern, are you doing the same? Are you watching them as you go along?
No, I watched it twice and made as many notes as I did on this. Maybe 3 times.
No, I don't mean this episode. I mean the series as a whole. Have you seen the whole thing, or are you watching this?
No, I haven't watched it. I have not watched the whole thing, but I might watch the whole of season 3 though, because I really want to get onto it straight away.
How far ahead are you?
What, season 3, the first episode?
No. How much of the Shield have you seen?
Oh, this is right up to episode 1 of season 3. That's how far I've got up to it.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so you're kind of watching it as we go along. I mean, that's kind of great because that means we're always getting 2 people on the panel who are kind of almost giving first time reactions effectively, which I think is cool. All right, good. So we're going to talk about episode 13, and then we're going to look back at season 2, and I'm going to ask my panelists to pick out their favorite episode of the season overall, their favorite guest actor, which guest actor landed with them the most or gave the best performance. It can be somebody that was just in one episode. And then I'm going to ask the impossible. Who would you pick for your standout leading cast member of season 2? Such a difficult pick.
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. It is a tough. I've had to wrestle with that. But we'll come back to that. But first of all, we're gonna do the same kind of thing for season 2, episode 13, the finale, directed by the late great Scott Brazel, who did many of the episodes, and as we heard from our guest Cedric Pendleton, he auditioned for Scott personally when he got on the show. This is written predominantly by Sean Ryan and Kim Clements again. Kim, very talented writer, and it really kind of not only does it bring everything to a sort of several arcs to a head for this season, but it also sets up loads of stuff for season 3, and I think it does it in such a great way that if you were somebody who was in charge of commissioning, there's no way you would sort of not greenlight the next season. I have actually been trying to find out how many seasons ahead they were greenlit by the time they were getting towards the end of season 2, and at what point season 3 got greenlit and so forth. I haven't been able to find out that information exactly. I do know that when Sean Ryan first wrote the pilot, he thought the show might run for 1 or 2 seasons only. And he said that if he'd known it was going to go for 7 seasons, he would have actually kept Terry Crowley in Vic's unit probably for half of season 1 before Vic shot him. I'm really glad that didn't happen. I think the impact of the impact of the pilot is that Crowley gets killed like out of nowhere. You don't see it coming.
Yeah.
And I think if there had been more setup time for that, you would have seen it coming. It's that that shock that makes episode 1 so powerful. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad on that. Good to see Hey It's Me and HD in the chat. We're not going to talk about the season finale today, mate. I've got people on this channel that haven't seen it yet. Season 2, I think Kurt Sutter appeared as a character in season 1, I think, didn't he?
Yep.
The gangster character. He was in season 1, wasn't he? When they break into that place and arrest him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the foot guy. He's the foot guy.
Yeah, the foot guy. Normally a title that you would ascribe to Quentin Tarantino.
I believe you mean Margot Drazarian.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, but the foot guy is the preferred term. Okay, all right. So let's get into it. So one of the main narratives of this episode is that Asa Vader is, of course, now running for. I think is he running for councilman?
City councilman. It's not
city councilman, right? Okay, which means if he gets it, he will be the boss of whoever becomes the police captain boss. And we know that Claudette has now changed her mind and has her eye on that job. So you've got the narrative of his election coming up. He actually thinks he's going to lose, and that works to his advantage because he kind of comes across as sort of, more laid back about it and giving off a vibe about it's all about the people, it's not about me, and and he also feels because he's going to lose, he's got nothing to lose, so he goes all out to try and get the strike team stricken off the department. He's very vocal about it in interviews and things like that. But that narrative actually ends with him winning because one of the interviews that he gave got picked up by various networks, turned out to be very popular, and it swung the votes in his favor. So that's that storyline. And also Vic and him have a confrontation saying, hey, you put the strike team on the recommended cuts, and Vic is not very pleased about this. The cuts that are coming to the department is another major storyline, and several people are fired and lose their jobs, including the 2 homophobic cops that have been bullying Julian. But less satisfactory is Danny, who is put on the chopping block because of not finding the weapon, of course, that was nothing to do with her, which killed the prisoner. in a previous episode. That was all down to Vic. She confronts Vic about that. Vic tries to get Acevedo to put her job back, doesn't succeed. Then we have another storyline, which is the sort of Dutch and CCH Pounder's Claudette Wims's storyline, which is Wims's ex-husband is killed whilst visiting a florist with his daughter in town. The daughter normally lives outside of LA. The daughter is played by a very talented actress, Tracy Toms. I'm going to talk more about her later. And that's the storyline for our detective duo. But Vic is trying to muscle in on that case a little bit. I think with good intentions, because he knows it's a gang hit to do with this April Fool's thing. It's all part of the kind of recruiting process. People have to go up and say something to somebody before they shoot them. Basically, random targets that people pick out. If they get the right domino, they've got to go out and kill somebody. So you have that storyline. And eventually they ultimately catch the guy and they stop him from killing more people. Then we have the money train storyline, which of course has been the thread, the main kind of thread throughout season 2. And Shane and Lem are assigned to follow the guy because the money train has moved and they need to find out where the new place is. And unfortunately, they witness the guy have a fender bender, and he then approaches them in the vehicle, which is the still that's up right now, and asks them to witness it for insurance purposes. Shane gives his name as Cletus Van Dam, which could have easily been my favorite line of this episode, but I've picked something else. But I did when I heard that name, I did burst out laughing, especially as Van Dam was really big around this kind of time. I think sort of late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, so ultimately they discover where the money train has moved to. It's a very similar place, and they agree that they're going to hit it that night. They've got to hit it soon because ultimately the money's going to be moved again. So the decision is made to go ahead with it. Just as they're about to meet up and do it with the team in place, or 3 of them in place, Vic gets the call on where the murderer is, the guy that is going around killing people for the gang. So he has to go to this little fairground to stop that from happening. Or he can ignore that and go to the money train, knowing that people are going to get killed. So it's that moral compass of his again that's playing with the audience. You know, sometimes he does the right thing in certain moments, although there's always, you could argue there are different motivations. But he does pick his job over the money train there for a moment, and he calls Shane and he tells them to still go ahead with it. But ultimately, he ends up managing to get there just in time to assist in the taking down of the money train. Just before they got there, one of the Armenians killed one of their own men. We don't know the full reasons for this. Another person was injured during the firefight, and they have to deal with that. So that's another dilemma they have to sort out. Julian has a confrontation with Frank Grillo's character in the barn, because somebody went to his stepson's school and told everybody his dad was gay, which would be these 2 officers. They have a fight. Great scene, actually. And later, those 2 police officers are fired anyway as part of the cuts, which, of course, they blame Julian for. And they stake him outside his new house where he's living with his new wife. And they give him a blanket party and beat him up when he comes out to put out the trash. Ultimately, Claudette finds out that her husband was about to get married again, and the reason he was at the junction where he was he was going to get flowers to break the news to her. It's a really moving scene with the daughter. Some great acting as always, and I like the way CCH Pounder lets Tracy Thomas have that scene. It's her scene. She really pulls back and gives Tracy all the room on that scene. Very generous actor in that regard. She could have stolen that scene quite easily, but she doesn't. So, Trayvon's kind of, more in with the squad, but completely left out of the money train loop. And that happens so quickly and in such a small time of window of time that Vic is almost. It would almost have been impossible for Vic to be there, almost. So it's quite clever. And we have a little end scene with each of our main characters. Dutch still working a case, Claudette going to spend time with her daughter, and so on. We have our man celebrating his victory, winning the election, David Acevedo with his wife, and then Vic and Co go and have a look at the money, and it's a lot of money, maybe too much. So yeah, there we are. So that is episode 13. Oh, and then Vic finds out that Claudette is going to be captain now that Acevedo's won, and she has a great line about that, which I'm going to come back to in a minute. So yeah, episode 13. My overall thoughts on this were, I thought it was a cracking ending to season 2. I remember when I first watched it, which was when it was still broadcasting on Channel 4 in the early 2000s. I couldn't wait for the next season to start. I was like, my God, what's going to happen? I've got to find out. Great little narrative arcs with all the characters. Everybody gets a bit of time. Just thought it was a really good episode, really solid. My rating for this episode is probably a 9.5. Superb piece of television. So yeah, Northern, give me your overall thoughts and your rating out of 10 for this episode.
It paid off. Everything that was leading up to this episode, it paid off really well. The consequences of what would happen with Danny after the whole armadillo spectacle, Acevedo looking like he's about to lose his job, but then we suddenly get this big surprise win where it's looking like Vic is not going to be rid of him. Claudette is not going to be rid of him either. And the tension between them is really building up now. And even Vic has got to suffer through Acevedo being the boss of his boss and Claudette being his boss as well. A woman who really detests him over what he's done, and that she could be the one that could destroy him as well. And not only that, we've seen just how ruthless Tavon could be as well when he plays Russian roulette with one of the people.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot to mention that bit. That's a great scene, which kind of fucks with you about where you stand with him. It's quite clever.
And I did feel a bit, and I thought I kind of give credit to Danny as well. I mean, I know she wasn't going to go straight to Acevedo to talk about what was happening, but as soon as they start saying we're not going to back you up when you need it, I mean, she's kind of right too as well, because those guys are going to put her and other officers in danger if they're doing something with Julian as well. So, and she very sadly does not deserve to lose her job. No. And it did kind of make me dislike Lem and Shane a little bit, because they are the reasons why, and they do not seem very remorseful about it. But that said, the Lemon Shane, even though I hate what they did, I still found them hilarious. The tailing scene, come on, that is the worst thing that can just go wrong. That little fender bender when they're trying to remain incognito and they have to be the witness to the guy they're tracking down.
Yeah, I know.
It's so funny.
Cletus Van Damme.
Yeah. But once again, we do sort of see how different these two are when one of the guys in the money train robbery is wounded. Lem really does feel some sympathy towards him, while Shane's like, "Hey, well, it's killer beat. It's a dog eat dog world out there," and it shows just how different these two are, but also how similar they are. And it does pay off as well. They get the money train, they got the money, and I wonder if Vic is actually being very understanding to his wife when he says he's going to talk to the lawyers tomorrow morning, because right now he has a shitload of money he can fight her with. He can probably get a good lawyer, a better lawyer than hers. Who knows? But Claudette as well, she's really coming to play as well, and we've got this really good tragic storyline as well, and that little reveal where her ex-husband was going to surprise her as well, and he was actually getting his life together. Oh God, that was tragic, because it's obvious Claudette has had a bit of a tragic past as well with her husband being a junkie. it adds so many
Yeah.
these characters.
And she assumed the worst. She assumed the worst of him as well in that situation. She assumed he was there to buy drugs, which is, you know, the devastation on her face when she finds out the truth is really palatable. Great scene.
Yeah, like I said, it pays off. It pays off what it has built, and I really am looking for the third season. I mean, this. I really want to see what happens next. I think this has done a better job than the first season, to be honest. And I like the first season.
Sorry to interrupt. Just going to give Curtis Warwick a shout out, who's a good friend of mine from the dancey world of day raves. And,
hey, Warwick.
Yeah, he bought me a drink when I was short, so I really appreciate him. Looked after me at the club. Bless him. See, he's also from up north, mate. See, Northerners, they're the best, aren't they?
Oh, it must be neighbours then.
Yeah. Well, you could be related, mate. Who knows? Because could have the same milkman. So, okay, Tox. Oh, and what's your rating out of 10, mate, for the episode?
Rating out of 10? Yeah, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Come on, it's a great final.
Bless you, Warwick. Appreciate you, man. Look forward to seeing you. I think you're coming to Frantic. I'll see you at Frantic if you're coming. Tox, your thoughts on the episode?
Great episode, great season finale. One of the best ones in the series, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. Anything else?
Not really.
I'm all good for short and brief. That's all fine.
I don't know what more I could. I mean, I think you're going to ask some other questions that I'm going to extrapolate on, but yeah,
no, that's all right. Brevity is great. What would you give it out of 10?
10 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I've given it 9.5. I could rate this episode 10 really. Darth. And Inside Man's my co-host. He should actually be second, so I'm just going to bump him up to the top there. There we go.
Oh, bless you.
I think what this episode is coming to terms with your past and the change that emerges from that. And by change, I don't mean consequences per se. So Vic, Aceveda, Claudette are really the characters I'm thinking of. So for Vic, it's the collateral damage he's caused to everyone around it. We've all seen it. We all know it. I don't need to summarize it. For Aceveda, though, you have to go back to the premiere of season 2 and the deal he makes. When he does that, he becomes a facilitator for much of what happens, courtesy of Vic and the Strike Team throughout season 2. And the change, well, he won the election, so he's moving on. So what consequences remain to be seen? Just like with Vic, the consequences remain to be seen. For Claudette, though, and I think this is a flaw in the story, they try. I think for Claudette is coming to terms, and the emerging change is a relationship with family, and replacing Aceveda as captain. The problem is Claudette's relationship with the family. It seems like it's a weak. It seems like it's a weak angle to put into the finale. It should have been tied into Vic and Aceveda somehow. I don't really like that fact that they tied in Claudette with her family being involved in this action. Last year it was the cop being shot randomly, and now we have another random shooting with this game. It's at the time Claudette personally involved. I thought that Claudette's tension, the coming to terms, should have been more plot specific, involving Aceveda and Vic. But I could be overthinking this, as possible, but I think that is a flaw of the episode. I would have done it differently. So Vic being Vic, Vic Aceveda detente, and the Vic Claudette tension is really the focus of the season from beginning to end, and it's why it's just a great season. More about that later. Overall episode, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay, all right. I mean, that was a bit of a sort of grumpy,
it's a good
Inside Man type answer, but that's all right.
It's a good episode, but I do think it has its flaws.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Inside Man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Great finale. I agree with Darth, though. I have to agree with Darth. it kind of did feel a little bit forced, perhaps, with the the personal story, the personal attachment to the case again. However, I did enjoy it. For one, I think it also shows that maybe Claudette is also, she's also doing something that isn't quite so squeaky clean, trying to keep her daughter off the stand. Trying to sort of manipulate the situation so that her daughter doesn't take the stand in a gangland execution. Whereas, in any normal circumstances, she would be, the key witness in that entire case. So she's done something that maybe she's not too familiar with, that kind of slight manipulation there. So she isn't quite as squeaky clean as I thought that she was going to be in this respect. So she's not quite so by the book.
Then Vicky's kind of manipulating his way in a little bit as well, isn't he?
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. I loved that look of pride on Vic's face when Tavon was doing the Russian roulette. There was almost a look of kind of, that's my boy kind of thing. And he was really rolling with it. I thought that was a great scene. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it's a very, very good final episode, and great performances all round. I don't think there was a single performance in that show that I could have faulted at all. I mean, everybody was absolutely on their A game there. In terms of score, it's not my favorite episode, but it's up there. Definitely a high 9. Maybe a 9 and a little fraction there somewhere. But yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Right. Okay. All right. So your rating for the episode?
Yeah, a 9.
A 9. Okay.
9.
Right.
9.
Well, that's not a grumpy score. That's a good one. I thought you were trying to out grumpy Garth for a minute. So,
No.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on to talk as always about the guest actors in this episode. There's a few, and if I just pop up the cast list here. So we've got all our lead circles. So we have Ron Canada back again. Brian White as Tavon, who I said you can pick until we get into the next season. Then we'll consider him a lead from that point onwards. Kathy Cahill-Ryan. My name is Shell, who played Vanessa, who I picked in a previous episode. We've got Camilla Monet back as Aurora Aceveda. Got Frank Grillo and Matt Corboy as, of course, the 2 regular cops. Tracy Toms as Bonnie. Wims's daughter, and then I think there's a couple of other people as well. So let me just get the whole list up here. We've got various kind of other actors that did smaller roles, a couple of different gangster types. You've got people playing the various Armenians, Radiohead, who's one of Mackie's contacts, played by Rick Sarabia. That's the face of a villain if ever there was one. So I'm sure he must have done 96 acting roles, still working. I'm sure he's done a lot of kind of bad guys. He's just got that look. And we also had Dominic Comparator. He's been in a few things. 39 credits. Last thing he did was Law and Order Special Victims Unit in 2020. So he played Dak in the episode. Tariqian.
Is that how you say his name?
Or is it Dark? I think you might pronounce it.
I almost want to say Comparatori.
Oh, you mean the surnames? Yeah, you're probably right.
Like more of an Italian cadence. I could be wrong.
Yeah. We have Herzl Toby, who played one of the Armenian guys, actually born in Gibraltar, raised in Israel, trained in England. What a combination. So he has got 72 acting credits, still acting, last credit, short film, 2025. So yes, there's a few people to choose from. Look at this. Is this him doing Hitler? It really looks like Hitler in that picture. What's going on there? Okay. Yeah, so well, this is a no-brainer for me. I'm going to pick Tracy Toms as the standout supporting cast member for this week. Her scene with her mum, both of them, she's got two great scenes with Claudette, really moving scenes. And as I mentioned earlier, I like the fact that Cece gave her room to do those scenes, let them be her scenes. And it, the stuff where she's determined to testify because it's her dad that's been killed, and then the scene where she reveals why she was really there, why the father was really there, extremely moving, very well acted. She's got quite the career, 114 acting credits. Some of you may remember her as the hot girl in the Quentin Tarantino Grindhouse. They did the Grindhouse thing, and you had the one with Kurt Russell with the car. I forget what that one was called.
Death Proof,
right? She's one of the girls in that. So,
is she?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was she was in Death Proof. Let me just double check. What year was that?
Death Proof was 2007.
Thank you. Let me go down. We've got a, as you can see, she's been in a lot of stuff. She's been in Looper, every TV show. Yeah, here you go. Yeah, Grindhouse. Kim in the segment Death Proof. Yeah, she's the hot black chick in that thing.
Yeah,
trust me, I remember these people, man. So yeah, she's been jobbing actress since 2002. The Shield was one of her early performances. So you can see from her performance in this, while she did pretty well. She did the whole series of Wonderfuls, which I haven't seen. Parts in things like The Devil Wears Prada, Death Proof, of course. She's done Rent on Broadway. So she's obviously a stage actress as well. I'm guessing probably studied in New York, perhaps. And yeah, a whole host of other stuff. I've seen her in quite a few things. And yeah, still very much a working actress. And I have written to her, and I've asked her to come on. So we'll see if we can get her on. Nice. Yeah. So she's my pick for best supporting actor of this episode. Inside Man. Well, we're running in our proper order now. Who's yours?
I've got to go with Tavon. To be honest with you, I think he's really started to come into his own now. I really like him as an actor. I really rate him as an actor. But I just, like I said before, I really love that the Russian roulette scene. When Vic just sort of standing back and watching him, and knowing that he can put some kind of faith and trust in him now, and that he's starting to belong to the team. Yeah, I really like him. Really like this guy. Really terrific actor. What else has he been in? I mean, I haven't looked up his IMDb.
Oh, he's he's still very much working, I believe. I think we had a look at it the other week. We'll just have a quick 103 acting credits.
That's good.
Most recent Stereoscope 2024 episode, 4 episodes of Criminal Minds in 2020. I like that show when it first started, but it got very repetitive very quickly. It was okay for a season or two, but then I just was like, yeah, this isn't as regurgitable as Law and Order. You can't do season after season of this. With some guy staring at a chalkboard and telling me how mathematics is going to solve the next crime. Like, whatever. He's also been in the Black Hamptons. Not seen that. But Ambitions, 18 episodes. I mean, he's very much the working actor, and easy to see why, because as you say, he is very talented.
Yeah. So,
and also he's in Northern Bastards' favorite film, Stomp the Yard. So there we are. Okay. Yeah. So that's your Inside Man's pick is Brian White. I'm going to leave him up just in case. Toxic. Same pick or someone else?
Same pick. Yeah.
There you go.
I don't want to totally. Well, I'm going to caveat a little bit, but I find him very interesting. I also liked when I watched it, it looked like in that scene, the Russian roulette scene, the way that he did it, not only was he kind of showing off to Vic and was Vic proud of him, but it also seemed like Vic was like, you know what? Maybe we don't have to completely be dirty. Maybe this young kid has some moves that we could follow. I mean, listen, I mean, obviously I'm not stupid. I know even fake Russian roulette is against someone's civil liberties and things like that. But I mean, compared to some of the outlandish shit that Vic and the crew have done, I mean, that was pretty tame, clever though it may be. It was still tame as far as, you know, stepping outside the box and coloring outside the lines. And I felt like Vic was like, man, this kid's got some talent. This could work. This I can get behind this DEI hire. This is going to be, it'll get everybody off our backs a little bit. And plus the kid knows how to play the game and he's clever. So.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So who's next on the list? It's Darth. Who are you picking?
So do I get multiple choices again?
All the ones that I went through earlier that I spent considerable time outlining. Yeah, you can scroll back to the live feed and watch it quickly if you want, but you haven't got time to do that. So just tell me which was the guest actor that you liked.
It's going to be T1.
Okay.
And I would have said that even if I'd gone for.
We'll leave him up. Here you go. Here's a sexier photo of him for all you guys that are getting your man crush this evening. So yeah, Darth, anything to add to what other people have said?
No, I think Inside Man and Toxic have pretty much summed up what I was going to say. Pretty much. I thought Tavon really nailed this episode. That was a great scene. It's not my favorite scene, but it is a really good scene where he really he really stepped up in that episode.
Yeah.
And that scene.
Yeah.
It was a tad uncomfortable to watch, but it's the Shield. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Well, indeed. Okay, good. Northern.
It's got to be Tavon. I mean, he's showing to be a very resourceful, reliable, competent cop on his strike team. I mean, he's doing things that, like, it's like you said with Vic. I mean, he's looking at someone who can probably do a lot more than they could. I mean, remember last time when they were trying to get in that guy's house and he charmed his way into the house while everyone else would have probably kicked the door in? Yeah, he's a good character and he's smart. He's very young. He's very inexperienced, but he's showing to be very competent and, you know, he can think on his feet. He's a good character and I can't wait to see him as an actual proper main character in the third series.
Okay, great. All right, wicked. So that's the picks for the week. So obviously, you know, I picked Tracy Thomas, so she wins. All right.
She was good.
So she was good. She was good. I mean, I've given it to Brian White in other episodes, and we're going to see a lot more of him. So, you know, okay. But which lead actor took this episode for you? This is a tough one, man, because I mean, I would say that the people that get the least screen time and probably didn't have any scenes that really made me go, oh wow, yeah, would be Jay Carnes was kind of in the background more in this episode. He had a couple of good scenes, but nothing that made me think, oh yeah, it's his episode. Same with Julian. Michael Jace had some good scenes, especially the one where he takes down Frank Grillo's copper. But again, not enough meat for me to say it's his episode. David Acevedo, Benito Martinez, brilliant job in his role. Love the way he plays all the different political minutiae, and he's such a snake. Shane Walton Goggins has got some great scenes. Chickless, of course. But I'm probably going to give this episode to Catherine Dent. I think that's the second week in a row I've given it to her. I love her scenes. I love the turmoil that she's going through. I love it when she calls Vic out. I really liked her. Her character's gone through real changes and they're very believable. That's what I really like. So she kind of stole this episode from me. I could have given it to Cece, even though she really holds back in this episode. Because even when she holds back, she's absolutely amazing to watch. But I'm going to give it to Catherine Dent on this one. Inside Man.
What can I say? I think this is oh God, it is a tough one. And I was kind of sort of juggling a few around, but I think it's got to go to Vic Mackey. I think watching Vic, just having to juggle and sidestep so many times. I think actually, one of you actually mentioned, you're not sure whether he's going to come through, with his wife, or whether he's actually, going to be using that money to hire a more expensive and better lawyer. I think he does actually want to come through with it. I think he really wants to do good by his family. He genuinely does. That's the impression that I got anyway. But to watch him, with so many balls in the air, at the same time, it was quite masterful. I think the way he tackled everything in this episode. I can't think of anybody else really that excelled as well as Chiklis in this. So it has to be Vic Mackey. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I was on the fence about whether to pick him or not. But got to back the dent. Tox.
It's gonna seem like I'm just echoing Inside Man this whole episode,
Yeah,
but I gotta,
it definitely is.
I gotta agree. It's Vic in this. He just, God, man, he's got so much constitution. I think I heard it said one time in like the DVD commentary when I used to own these. The constitution of Vic Mackey, the ability to multitask and to be so many different people that he needs to be in so many different things: the father, the cop, the mentor, the politician, the crime boss, the enforcer, all of these things. And he's got so many things going on all at once. And, I mean, he is stretched thin, certainly, but I think he comes out, I mean, as far as getting the tasks done, I mean, overall looking at it, I mean, we realize that these are not good things, but for this episode in a vacuum is a testament to how much Vic Mackey can really pull off all at once. Pretty interesting.
I mean, I think in a previous stream, I think you said, it's almost like he's playing a game of chess, and I think that's absolutely right. Because he has different strategies that he's using each time. But I think now we're seeing him playing chess, hopscotch, and twister, all at once.
All at once. All at once. And it's so funny too, because 20 years ago watching this, I saw Vic Mackey as what I suspect a lot of people see Vic Mackey is, because they forget the first episode and they see him as this anti-hero. Now I see him as, I mean, basically Vic Mackey is the Lex Luthor of this show. His machinations are almost endless. His need to be having control, as Darth Plato had pointed out in a previous stream, it's so overwhelming. And, he wants to keep all these pieces going. He wants to be all of these things for all of these people at once. And it's really clearly shown in this, even when things are on the back foot, he's still coming through and, doing, what he thinks is right. Obviously we know it's not right, but, and it's fascinating to watch, whether you agree or disagree, whether you see him as I see him, or maybe you do see him as an anti-hero. Regardless, you have to be impressed with what he's able to pull off.
Yeah, and he just doesn't want to give an inch. He doesn't want to budge, Great.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Darth.
I think Go would be a better example than chess, but I'll go along with that.
Who you picking?
He's so intellectual. He's so intellectual. Sorry, Darth.
I know he comes on here and shows us up every week with his themes and deep, meaningful narrative descriptions. Anyway,
Plato is in his name. I'll remind everyone. So
of course.
Hey, I did not choose the name. It was a dysphorism. I kept it.
By the way, this picture of Mackey is an accurate 1-to-1 depiction of Inside Man's facial expression when I remind him he still needs to take me out for lunch.
True.
Well,
True.
hey, we're all. I'm going to stick up for my fellow curmudgeon.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, do you want my pick or not?
Yeah, let's have your pick. There's too many curmudgeons on this stream.
My pick, darn it, is Cletus Van Dam.
Yeah, I see. I knew someone was going to pick Shane.
Good call. Yeah.
Shane was very good in this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Really
look at that scene in the Money Train. Like, he was good overall episode, but in the Money Train scene, he has a really creative way of expressing his cowardice. He's like, I'm not going to get you guys in trouble. We're going to get out. I don't think he's looking out for his bros. I think he's chickening out, and he doesn't want to. This is how he's manifesting it. He's just not.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to go on a rant, but that's really what I think. That's how I interpret that scene. And
okay,
so that's my pick.
Okay, all good. All right. Okay, so Shane gets a vote. Okay, so we're going to move on to our favorite moment.
What about Northern?
Oh yeah.
What?
That's all right. Yeah, you should.
Oh, sorry, I nearly forgot about him. Stuck at the bottom there. Sorry, Northern. Go ahead.
I was almost going to say Claudette or Danny, but yeah, it has to go to Vic because this is kind
of. Go to Vic. You can say Claudette or Danny. He doesn't have to go to Vic.
It has to go to Vic, though. At least for me, anyway, because this is his episode more than ever. He's had to juggle everything. He's had to spin a lot of plates, and he's kind of had this victory, but at the same time, he's got this double defeat as well as not only having Acevedo back as the boss of his boss, but Claudette as his boss, as she reveals later. And the fact that he really does know how to work the room as well. He knows how to work his way into everything to gain the advantage, like he was doing with Dutch earlier in the drive-by shooting. And not only that, he's got to deal with his divorce, and you just don't know what that very soon more of these consequences from the Armenian job is going to go back on him. You know that, and he might not be able to worm his way out of it this time either.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So another vote for Vic. But Danny wins. Okay, good. All right. So Okay. So favorite moments, favorite scene, favorite line. So my favorite line in episode 13, and I'm going to struggle to remember it correctly, but it's Claudette to Vic when she says the question is not whether you can carry on working here or something, but whether you can carry on working for me. And then she sort of like looks to the captain's office. That's the moment where she tells Vic, I'm going to be your boss. And it's like this small victory for Claudette. And Vic was this whole episode. Vic, the reason he wanted to solve the murder of her ex-husband is he wanted to get her back on side, and he thought that might do it. He definitely had an agenda there, and and he tries to sort of like, thank you would have been nice and all this kind of thing, and it doesn't happen.
And I bet like, that's not enough, though, is it? Because I know what kind of a cop you are. We don't need no cops like you, do we?
She's not, and she knows. She knows, she knows exactly why he's doing that. That's why she keeps saying this is not his case. Don't listen to him. He shouldn't be working this case, But he does, and he very much is instrumental in solving it. My favourite scene is the money train heist. The whole sequence, I think, it's really well done. Great suspense. There are 5 or 6 wonderful scenes in this episode. The Cletus Van Dam scene is fun. Claudette with her daughter, great moments of acting. Julian, taking down one of the cops, but then getting beaten up as well. Pretty awful scene at the end. But yeah, just in terms of the quality of gripping drama that this show provides you, I just think the money heist scene is the scene for me. But Claudette's line about putting Vic in his place. So there you go. That's my line and my scene. Inside Man. What grumpy musings do you have?
Well, exactly the same line as you.
Yeah.
I thought it was just not just the line, but the delivery and the look. It's her look. Um, I don't think anybody does anything with their face the way CCH Pounder does. You really don't want to get on the arse end of that stare. You just don't.
No.
She's got that look, hasn't she? It's those big eyes that just stare into your
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah. But that's the great delivery, and really, really lovely bit of writing there. I have to say, my favorite scene, and it is, I've mentioned it a couple of times already, and it is because I like the look on Vic's face. The kind of "that's my boy" with Tavon. I really like that scene. It's not a nice scene, but I just like the fact that we're seeing something in Vic that maybe he's recognizing something of himself in Tavon, or he thinks that this is someone that I think is going to fit in quite nicely. That is my favorite scene, because it's almost like Vic sort of turns a corner on Tavon there. He's kind of turns this corner, and he's got maybe a little bit more admiration for him for what he's done. Doing it the Mackie way.
Yeah. Yeah. And which is right on the money. Absolutely. Okay. Good stuff. Did you have a line?
Yeah, same line as you. The with CCH and Vic, with Chickless, exactly the same line.
Okay.
Just her
it
delivery with that was just great.
Fab
and
fab stuff. All right. Cox, line and scene.
Scene would be finally I can disengage from from Inside Man's coattails a little bit. My favorite scene, I remember rewatching it so many times, was the end montage where they're looking at all the money, and Vic is like ecstatic. He walks in and sees what they've garnered because the boys have put it in the storage locker, and they've been there for a minute and just kind of realized the realization, unspoken, show don't tell, comes over, just realizing at first he's so happy, and then he realizes we took way too much. Someone's going to come looking for this, and there's nothing we can do about it. We really overstepped ourselves. Juxtaposed against Aceveda winning the election and celebrating and stuff like that, and Danny going back to what she knows best, going to the range and clacking off some rounds, and just all of that. I think they could have even ended the show there, and it would have been fairly satisfying. So that's my favorite scene, still is to this day. And favorite line that I really liked was when they see they're doing the little side quest, and they see that Aceveda has won, and I don't remember who asked him, says, well, what does this mean? This means he's going to be our boss's boss soon. And and the connotations with that are really, they echo, throughout, because it's just like, okay, so this means that we're going to have this guy that doesn't like us up in city council, with a police chief that doesn't like us. No, a new captain's going to come in. It's almost certainly going to be Claudette, and she doesn't like us. Like, we're in the end game now.
Yeah. Okay. Darth.
Well, my pick is the end scene with where they're standing there looking at the money. Now look at the scene. There's no dialogue. There's just emotion. There's the eyes, the expression, the score. It taps into a little bit, not too much, but it taps into the ending of The Long Good Friday.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that ending.
Yeah, good comparison.
Now,
with Bob Hoskins in the back of the car.
Right, with Chris Brosnan. Now, the scene in The Long Good Friday has more tension. I grant you, it has more horror because what had just shown with Helen Mirren's character. But so you don't have that here in The Shield, but so it doesn't rise to the level of Long Good Friday, but it sort of like how Tavon's following after Vic. This scene is sort of like begotten of that scene in Long Good Friday. That's why I like this scene so much. And Toxic makes a good point about that too. I can't really add anything more to it than that. I will add this though. What you said, Lance, about Claudette saying, "Yeah, I'm going to be your boss now." You remember, Claudette was the first to reach out to Vic, and Vic was the one that burned down the bridge when Ronnie's face got burned, and Claudette was the one that went and say, "Ronnie's your guy. Respect that, and I'm here for you." She said that, and what did Vic do? He turns his back and says, "I don't need your help." Right. So Vic deserves it, frankly.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. All right. So this, like I said in the opening, this episode is him is you see as the consequences of what he's done throughout the season, and this is very much a part of it. His feud with Claudette and that scene that you just mentioned.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, great episode. We're going to look back now.
Northern?
Yeah, no.
Northern's answer. Yeah. We're going to look back now on Northern's answer. I definitely didn't forget it again.
I was going to say the Claudette line, but you've already mentioned how good it was, so I'll go with my second choice. Cletus Van Damme, and my favourite moment.
Yeah, that was my second choice.
So, yeah, just because it's fucking funny, but yeah, I will pick Claudette telling Vic that she's going to be his boss as my favourite moment, just for the look on Vic's face when she tells him that. That little smile he pulls as well. That is the smile of a guy who knows he's fucked. Love it.
Yeah, good. Okay, well, we're going to move on to sort of look back at season 2 as a whole now. And
are we doing the scenes and lines there?
No, I'm going to ask you. Just your not lines. Forget that. I think if you have a particular standout moment, but we're going to do what was your favorite episode? Which was the episode?
Yeah, I skipped over that just now for episode 13. My best line. I'm sorry, I skipped over it. Was Danny and Aceveda when they were talking, and he said, "Well, who's looking into it when my career is being flushed down the toilet?" And Aceveda said, very frankly, just says, "Right now, nobody." That was really brutal scene.
Yeah, it was brutal.
So I just wanted to add that in really quick before we move on.
Okay, all right. So looking back on season 2, just my thoughts. I mean, I would be hard pushed to think of a show that I've watched from beginning to end, throwing things like The Sopranos, The Wire. I'm trying to think of stuff that's had like 4 or 5 seasons or above. Breaking Bad. And of course there are a gazillion crime procedural dramas, but they're ongoing, like Law and Order, so I wouldn't really put them in the same kind of category as this. But I can't think of a show that's had a better second season than this. I just can't. It's so good at taking everything that they set up in the first season, making you more invested, giving you more conflict over who you should be rooting for, who you should support. You know, you're with Vic 1 minute, you're not with him the next. It's a really, really clever show, and I just can't give it more praise. And again, we've seen consistent good choices with the casting of the supporting cast, some great actors in supporting roles. And just getting to know the characters more, the actors very comfortable in their roles, really giving us more with their characters as well. So I'm going to ask people, first of all, and I don't want a big explanation why. You can keep it short. You know, only 30 seconds on the theme, please. So just because we've got a lot to get through, I don't want to run too late. So these are the episodes for season 2: Quick Fix, Dead Soldiers, Partners, Carte Blanche, Greenlit, Homewrecker, Barnstormers, Scar Tissue, Co-Pilot, Coyotes, Inferno, Breakpoint, Dominoes Falling. I've got a couple of episodes that I really like in this one. It's a toss-up for me between season 2, episode 3, Partners. Carl Walters is really great in that episode, but I love the whole storyline with Dutch screwing up and letting those killers go so that the victim didn't survive, which affects him for the season going forward. It's a really good episode. That one, and probably Homewrecker, would be a toss-up between those two, and the finale. Great finale. But I think I'm probably going to go with Partners, because it's a really good all-round episode. Superb casting, superb guest actors. The late great Carl Weathers, brilliant in it. But I love the Dutch storyline in that episode, and the pan to the bathroom when you've got the woman tied up in the shower. That cutaway shot that was a moment of just television drama genius. It was great. So yeah, that I think that Partners for me. Okay, Inside Man.
Breakpoint all the way. My favorite episode by a mile. The reason I think it's my favorite episode is because it was the one that I found probably in this season the most disturbing to watch, the most the one that really had the blood pumping around my veins, especially the final interrogation scene with a young neo-Nazi lad. It just really it really did something to me, this episode. It really did. It was a challenging episode to watch. But that's exactly what good television is supposed to be. It's supposed to be challenging to watch.
Oh, sorry, are you talking about Breakpoint, which is episode 12?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Breakpoint. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's by an absolute mile. It's my favorite episode in this entire season. Yeah.
Okay. Tox.
Yeah. Unpopular opinion, but Co-Pilot. I like what it brings to the series.
I really like that episode. I have to say it is one of my favorite of the season. Yeah.
I like what it brings to the series. I like to see that, because I don't think it's necessarily a prequel. I just think it gives us another view. So that's why I like it.
Okay, good choice. I highly approve. Darth.
Sorry, I have swallowing issues.
I thought you were waiting for a drum roll there or something.
No,
continue.
I have dysphagia. I'm sorry. Best episode, without a doubt, Partners. So I've been saying it all season. I think it's the best episode to date. The only thing that comes closer is Dragon Chaser from season 1.
Okay.
The worst episode. Co-Pilot.
Co-Pilot. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I agree
but
with that.
Partners is your prime pick, as it were.
Yep.
Okay. Northern.
I don't know which episode it was, but I think it might be in the first episode where Claudette really starts to despise Vic after jeopardizing a case which gets Armadillo back on the streets. I forgot which one it was, but I think that might have been the best one, because it does almost start the beginning of the end of Vic Mackey's.
Is it Greenlit? I think it might be Greenlit.
It
but
might be, yeah, but it is almost like it basically starts the beginning, and it's the beginning of the end of Vic Mackey and his corrupt ways, because it leads to many more. Like it leads to the stabbing in the cells where Danny is blamed for it, and she starts to realize Vic is also someone she needs to keep away from as well.
It might be. I mean, it's either Greenlit or Scar Tissue, but I can't remember which. But yeah, good episode though. Excellent. Okay, glad I didn't forget you. All right. So I'm going to ask my panel to think back at all the guest actors that we've talked about. Again, we don't need a long explanation, but who has been your favorite guest actor in season 2? They may have been in 1 or 2 episodes. They may have been only in 1 episode, but they are not a member of the lead cast. So, I mean, for me, it's a difficult one because we've talked about a lot of different people that have come on the show. I really do like Camilla Monet, who plays Aura Aceveda. She's just got this. She's the perfect wife for him because she's got this kind of slimy film about her. That's you know, you can see how they complement each other. I really like her. Monet Michelle, I really like as Vanessa. Brian White as Tavon. Probably, I think if I pick him, it's a little unfair because he gets to do a lot more because he's in about 4 or 5 episodes. But I probably will pick him. I think I'm going to pick Brian White. And I think if he hadn't have been as good as he was, they probably wouldn't have kept him round for very long in season 3. He might have even been written out, you know. So he really delivered. So I'll pick him as my for season 2. Inside Man.
It's going to have to be the young lad, and I can't remember the young guy's name that was at the end of Breakpoint.
Played the Nazi kid.
Yeah, I thought he was just amazing. Absolutely amazing bit of acting in a very, very short scene. But boy, did he he really got to me. Just watching that interaction.
Let's get his name. Shockingly, I nearly left him out last week when I was surmising various characters. But you're quite right. He was quite astounding and terrifyingly real as well. I think it was. Do you remember the character's name? Was it Kyle? Was it Kyle?
Kyle. It was Kyle.
Yeah. So it was Jason Earls. Yeah. And we talked about his career a little bit last week.
Yeah.
Here he is with C-3PO for some reason. Don't know what's going on there. He's dressed as a Jedi. Not so Nazi like there. Yeah, I mean, he that was one of his. I think we established it was one of his first acting roles.
Yeah.
Early on in his career, and he's had a relatively successful career. So good choice.
Good.
Okay, Toxic.
I got to go with Sorry Daddy. What is her? I can't believe I just forgot her name.
Melanie Linsky.
Melanie Linsky. Oh, my Shauna. She's only in it for a little bit, but man, I have just been enticed by her for everything I've ever seen her in. She elevates the material, and I just thought she was so great in that. I mean, listen, this wasn't an easy ask, Lance. You're asking us because there a lot. In fact, most of the supporting cast, and including the young man that played Tio that you interviewed, are phenomenal in this show. So, I mean, but as a personal, for me, you asked my opinion, so I'm going to go with her.
No, I could have easily picked her actually. And it's difficult to remember everybody, but she really did stand out, and it's kind of nice that she came back in that other episode as well. Darth, who's your guest actor of the series?
Marcy.
Same.
Yeah, scariest character on the series of today.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. And Luke.
Danny Pino as Armadillo, because even when he got killed very early, I mean, him being there, his death is still kind of haunting the barn in a way. You know, him being there is a consequence of what is happening throughout the series now.
Yeah,
it's kind of set the wheels in motion a little bit. His death, even in death, he's still haunting the place. He's still left his mark.
Phenomenal actor, gone on to have an amazing career in television and movies, and I don't think I've ever seen him give a bad performance. So yeah, very good.
And he's just so chilling as well that he just talks straight. He never yells. He just stares at you. He has this very calm menace to him. And that little dialogue he has where he's talking about the burnt face, saying it hurts for a few weeks, but then it starts to crust over. It's Jesus Christ! This is the guy who can who's used to pain.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so now we come to a slightly more difficult task, which is choosing the character or actor rather that for you. I would say I'm going to caveat this slightly because I don't want you to pick this person on the basis of that they were they gave the best performance overall. I want to phrase it slightly differently. I want to say which actor playing their character elicited the greatest emotional response from you when watching season 2. It might be because you connected with them and related with them. They may have made you feel sympathy. They may have, but I'm talking about someone who really drew you into the emotional journey of that character. It's not necessarily the best performance overall, but whose character were you emotionally invested in overall in this season 2? So for me, really hard choice, and it'd be so easy to pick Vic because of course he's outstanding. I mean, Chiklis is just amazing in this, and I've got a lot of love for Jay Carnes. I love the turmoil that he goes through in this show this season where he kind of loses his A game and his confidence is undermined. It takes him quite a while to get back on track, but I just have to give it to the queen of the screen. I've got to give it to CCH Pounder. I mean, she's just so good. Every time I watch her in a scene, it's like the best acting lesson you could get a drama student to look and say, do it like that. And I mean, she's perfect pairing for Carnes. Love the stuff between her and Vic, but her character, I'm very invested in her character's journey. I feel for her when she goes through shit, which she doesn't put her business out in public, but that makes it even more poignant when you do see her moments of pain, which are few in the show, but that's what makes them so effective, particularly in this last episode. So if I've got to pick one, which I'd have to, I'm going to pick CCH Pounder for this season for me. Okay, difficult choice. Inside Man, I'm going to dash for a wee while you go and rattle on about your choice. So you've got a couple of minutes.
Right. So it's difficult not to pick Chiklis for this. For me, I think he's probably drawn out every kind of emotion that you could possibly feel. I mean, he's frustrated me. He's really enraged me. He's really annoyed me. But then, on the other hand, he's made me feel some kind of sympathy or even empathy with certain circumstances. But he's the one that's perhaps drawn the most out of me. And I can't knock him for that at all. There's no way that I could choose anybody else. I mean, every kind of emotion that I would have felt, he's really kind of he's yanked that out of me, and I just think he's a remarkable actor. He really is truly a remarkable actor, and I adore watching him in this in particular.
It's interesting to note that when Sean Ryan wrote this, he had an image in his head of what Chiklis looked like. And he wanted like a younger Harrison Ford type. So Harrison Ford in his kind of 40 age category, and Chiklis up to this point in his career had done very kind of soft roles, very kind of, dads and that kind of thing. And he wanted this part so much. He went and worked out, he lost loads of weight, and he shaved off all his hair and came back. And Ryan said when he walked into the room, it's like, oh, maybe this can work, So,
and he looks more like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Well, he's got that sort of grumpy curmudgeon inside man look, so I get why you relate to him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, okay, Toxic, who's your pick?
God, can you imagine Harrison Ford as Vic? I don't know, kid. I'm a different kind of cop.
No, that just wouldn't work. Wouldn't work. Would have been terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Queen Bee herself, CCH Pounder. I mean, she's a cop. A cop's cop. She's not the brains. She's not the brawn. She's not the politician. She's just a good, solid detective that enjoys doing good, solid detective work. She's loyal to her people, and she doesn't suffer fools. I think it's just amazing. If you'd have asked me 20 years ago when I first watched it, hell, if you'd have asked me 10 years ago, I of course would have said Vic Mackey. And I think it's interesting that now I have the complete opposite opinion, and I would choose CCH Pounder. So that's McQueen right there.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Darth Plato.
Well, I can't. To respond quickly, I can't see Harrison Ford playing Vic Mackey, but I could see Tommy Lee Jones too.
Well, regardless of that, who's your pick for the season 2? Remember the caveat that I said. I want you to choose the person that elicited the biggest emotional response.
Fair enough. But given the way that you framed the topic and how we're supposed to approach it, I don't think there's any choice but Vic Mackey. You could look at it. I mean, Inside Man's already touched on it. I mean, I'm piggybacking a little bit what Inside Man said already. We have every emotion that can be had comes from Vic, including contrition. In the finale, we even had that scene where he goes over to Corrine, and you have that what seems to me a very real moment of contrition. That's a rare sight from Vic Mackey. So we have everything. He had rage, bewilderment. There's a scene like when he was in the room with Tavon. He's like, yeah, like I could adopt this kid. He's almost stunned. Like he's out Vicking me. He's out Vicking Vic.
Yeah.
And he has that great look of surprise. He does everything that you could possibly ask for from a lead actor for this season. I don't see how you could choose anyone but Vic. I'm sorry.
Well, you can. You can choose CC, which Toxic and I did, and we're right. So there you go. Okay, but all right, fair enough. Northern.
I'm going to sound very obvious, but yeah, I've got to go to CCH Pounder as Claudette because she started off as this very sort of humble cop, just trying to do her job, and then she has this big, devastating betrayal by Acevedo and Vic, and now she's kind of evolved as this woman who's who's no longer just keeping her head down. She's actually going to go out and actually put an end to what Vic and Acevedo does, and actually maybe bring some dignity back to the police force, or at least the police force that she works for. And I really love that about her character. She's really evolved throughout this series. She's gone from business-like to meaning business.
I mean, I find it quite disconcerting that Inside Man and Darth Plato relate most to the backstabby kind of evil killer type, but so just,
I don't relate to what he does.
No, I'm teasing you.
But only the bad side of him I relate to.
That's fair. Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
Pounder was in Face Off. So I'm just saying Vic Mackey would have taken me out for lunch by now, by the way. Just putting that in there. Okay. So, difficult ask, but CC wins. 3 votes to 2. So she is the queen of the show, season 2.
Come on, Lance. If it had gone 1 to 4, you still would have declared Cece the winner if you chosen Cece.
Yeah.
Well, that's right, because my vote counts for 20. So yeah. Okay. So I guess what we'll do is final thoughts. Just kind of looking back on season 2. Anything you want to say about it on reflection? It's hard to pick a standout moment as well, but if there is one you really feel for you define the season, a moment or a scene, feel free to give it a mention. But yeah, keep it brief. I've got the sound timer on. Inside Man.
Well, I mean, I wasn't disappointed in this season at all. The only disappointment for me in this season really was co-pilot. I thought it was a pretty unnecessary episode, but I think.
But we've established you're wrong about that. So
it's a blip. It's just a blip. But
that's an inside man thinking blip.
But
not
all
a
in
blip
all,
for a show.
All in all, I think it's been absolutely outstanding. I mean, a really outstanding piece of television, and I'm so grateful to you for recommending this. And now I've got into season 2. Can't wait to get into season 3. It's just been an absolute blast watching
funny,
this. But
I can't believe how many of my friends still haven't seen this show. Because I'm talking to them about it, and they're like, "Yeah, I should watch that." And I'm like, "Yeah, you should. Really should."
But it's been a blast watching it. I mean, it's such a great piece of television. It's a kind of television that we know that we will never get again, which is unfortunate. But then again, on the other hand, it's fortunate, because then maybe if we had this kind of television all the time, then it would devalue what we actually have in this show. But also, I think a great part of my enjoyment of this show is joining everybody here on a Sunday, in the company of you fine fellows. It's always great to kind of, shoot the shit, as they say, or talk turkey, or shoot the turkey and talk shit, as some might have it. But it's been great. I love it. I really have enjoyed talking about this show with all of you guys. And
well, it's not over yet, mate. We got another 5 seasons to go yet. So
yeah, I can't wait to get on to season 3. But I think I don't want to be premature, but I think we're going to be leapfrogging a couple of weeks with something else. But no, it's been brilliant. Been brilliant this season. Absolutely superb.
Okay, fab stuff. Did you have maybe a standout scene?
It is that I've got to be honest with you. I have to go back to that scene in Breakpoint. It just, I can't believe how much it had my heart thudding, during that scene. It really, really, really affected me, that scene with that kid.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Tox, just overall thoughts of season 2, and if you've got a standout thing you want to mention.
Well, while I disagree that it's the best season 2 ever, I mean, I'd have to give that to Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 2. I do think it's fabulous. It's a great season 2. I remember it fondly, and I was great rewatching it. Standout scenes, geez Louise, I don't.
Well, I mean, if there's one scene in particular that you feel defined the season, say so. But I mean, I'm not going to ask you to do that, because there are so many. It's difficult.
Yeah,
it's difficult to remember them all.
I kind of always defer to, when I think about The Shield and I try to get somebody to watch it, I always kind of defer to what FX used to utilize to promote each season, and they'd have this one tagline that Vic would use, and it kind of defined the season. And obviously the first season is I'm a different kind of cop scene. That's what they used. But season 2 is what in the beginning of the season, when Aceveda says you better find your game, and he says I never lost it. That kind of that kind of brings it up to me, and I like the tradition that they kept it up for the remaining of the series where they had that one tagline. It's always Vic, and it's always him saying something really based and badass. So I'll say that if that's okay.
Yeah, no, okay, good. Darth.
Well, the defining moment of season 1 occurs at the very start of the season, at the end of the episode where Terry gets shot. For season 2, it's at the last scene of the last episode where they're looking at the pile of money, and really that's probably the most important moment in the entire series going into the later seasons. So I won't say anything more than that. So the central theme is the descent of the strike team. We knew they were corrupt cops, but we really seen them descend. The dissension of the strike team to now they're masterminds. They're criminal masterminds now. And that scene, the whole angle about the money train, by the way, do you know where this idea of the money train comes from? It comes from a real life event that the entire series is based on, the LA Rampart scandal. And part of that scandal was the LA police officers robbing an armored truck. The money train season is the money train scene. The whole angle is basically the armed robbery of the armored truck put into the story. They had to put some sort of caper, some sort of robbery involving the strike team to reflect that reality of what really happened. I think that's why we had the money train thing. The Vic Aceveda detente, the Vic Claudette feud. Solid gold watching this whole thing. Aceveda, he was a cop, and then he fell away as a cop. That seems where he's walking around the police uniform, where he didn't know his left from his right, and he had to be held by the hand by Julian of all people. They illustrate that he's no longer a cop. He facilitated Vic that entire season. How many antagonists do we have in this season 2? You have Armadillo, you have Lenny, and now we have Claudette. So now Claudette has gone from Claudette the detective, Claudette the I just want to go home at the end of the day, to Claudette the crusader. There's a saying from Deep Space Nine that I absolutely love. That's when Worf says to Martok, "Great men don't seize power; they have power thrust upon them." And Claudette, I think we're starting to see a flaw in Claudette's character, and that it's almost a little too self-righteous at this point. Like she's almost becoming as almost controlling as Vic, in that I have to be in control of everything. But Claudette wants to be like the anti-Vic. It's like I have to be the one to stop him. No one can stop him but me. So I'm going to take exception to what Taka said earlier about Vic being the Lex Luthor of the series. I think it might be. I think Claudette might be the Lex Luthor of the series. No one can stop Superman but me. Claudette, no one can stop Vic but me. I think.
How dare you?
I dare, sir. I dare. And by the way, that turn of phrase I think is very well known in the UK. I dare.
Okay, Northern. Darth, your time is up. Northern.
Yeah, this is probably a much better series than the first series, and I really did like that first series as well, but this really has evolved the characters a little bit more. We've seen Aceveda kind of cozying up to Vic a little bit and losing some control, but at the same time he's kind of prevailed in his own way. Claudette has evolved really much as a character, and she's no longer just keeping her head down. She's had this betrayal, and now she feels like she has an obligation to try and make more of an effort to make a real change, and I really like that. And even Dutch kind of gets humbled, but he gets back on track, and we almost see him become corrupt, but but we see more and more that he does have a moral compass. He's a bit full of himself, but at the end of the day, he is a good cop. And Danny is very sadly just trying to do the right thing, but now she's starting to realize that Vic isn't all who she made it up to be. But we're seeing more and more in the how Vic is coming across to the other officers now. A lot of them are starting to see him a little bit of who he is now, because he's getting too deep into his corruption kind of like. He's even almost becoming more of a criminal than the criminals he's hunting.
Yeah,
and I love that it's really upping the stakes even more.
Yeah, the stakes. I mean, that's the key word here. The stakes in season 2 are ramped up to the max. It's like, bring on season 3. I'm ready. You know, as soon as you watch this show, as Darth will tell you, because he saw all 7 seasons in about 2.5 days or something.
Yeah, and this is the series that's also made me want to just watch the next series and then the next series after now, because I think this is where this show has really started to thrive. It's same thing with
you shouldn't. You should watch it as we're going. You should
I can't promise that, I'm afraid. I can't promise that. I'll try.
I know it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. I'm amazed Inside Man hasn't cracked yet, but I think it's quite nice that you're seeing the shows fresh. So, yeah, okay. Overall rating out of 10 for season 2. I have to give it a 9.5. Almost a flawless season. You know, it would be completely inappropriate of me to say, oh, some episodes are weaker than others, because there's no weak episode of The Shield. There are some episodes that are not as good as the ones that are brilliant, but an average episode of The Shield is always good. There's always, you know, I'm never bored. I love these characters. I love watching these characters. I could watch a whole episode of them all eating a meal, and which actually would have been a lot of fun, you know, if they all got stuck having a dinner somewhere in a restaurant because they had to celebrate somebody leaving or something. So they're all forced to spend time together in a social situation. If they did a whole episode and that was the story, that would make great television, because these characters are so well drawn. And, you know, there'd be conflict over the dinner table about, you know, paying the bill and shit like that. See Claudette trying to sit as far away from Mackie down the table as possible. That's how good this show is. Yeah, just some of the best television ever made. So, and evening to you, James Willard. Nice to have you here. Inside Man. Yeah, rating for the season.
Overall rating for this season, I'm going to have to say 9.
9.
It's really, it really is Copilot that sort of dropped that point for me. It would have been a 10, but I just didn't really find it that enlightening. And I'll leave it there.
Okay. No, that's no problem. Yep, Toxic.
Yeah, I can't find a flaw really in this season. I think it improves upon season 1. It really finds its legs, as a lot of season 2s do. Yeah, I think it's flawless. 10 out of 10. I don't have any kind of issues with it. I can't think of a bad episode. None of them were like a slog to get through upon this rewatch for your show. I'm very happy with it. It brought back good memories, and I don't, not much else to say besides that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that every time I've rewatched this show, and I've seen the whole thing, I think 6 or 7 times now. This is probably the 7th. I enjoy it just as much as the first time I watched it, if not more, probably more, because I pick up on so many more things, you know. So yeah, okay. Darth, the rating out of 10 for the season overall.
8.
8. Okay.
Yeah. Now let me justify that a little bit.
Let me justify that with a detailed description of the narrative themes of the entire season. Go ahead. Let me just get comfortable.
I did not like in the early this season the whole scene with the Muslim guy, where Danny shoots the Muslim guy, and you have the lady shouting after her, "Where's your Allah now?" That's a horrible moment. They should not have put that scene in the episode. I think I don't mind the fact that Danny shot someone and he had to deal with the ramifications of that. I just don't think they should have tried to make it kind of 9/11-esque. I just don't think they should have tried to squeeze that in. I didn't like the miscellaneous weird people stuff that they kind of inserted into some of the episodes. It wasn't all the episodes, but they did it a few times, like the pet cemetery guy and the bug spray guy. We didn't kind of need that. I thought that was a little weak. They didn't. The scene with Armadillo. I like Armadillo himself as a character and the actor that played him. I just thought that he wasn't utilized very well as a season-long antagonist. He wasn't in the whole season. They got rid of him really early, and I thought they did it in a way that was really anticlimactic.
I think I have a feeling that may not have been the original intention with him. I get. I mean, I don't know the minutia behind the scenes, but I have a feeling. I heard rumors to the effect that he had to leave the season early or whatever. Something clashed that he was already committed to. So it may be that he got written out earlier than expected. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because I think your points are valid in that regard.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like some of the Julian. Julian did have his moments. He did like the scene with Tomas that a couple episodes ago. That was best I've seen Julian since the beginning of the series. But the rest of it, I just didn't really like it all that much. Well, that's it in a nutshell. So it's a good watching experience. I'm not saying it's a bad season. I just don't think it's a good season one, or certainly not what we have.
What's your rating out of 10?
8. I said it already.
Oh, okay.
The best part of watching all of this, honestly, was talking about it with you guys. So thanks for that experience.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Well, naturally. Okay. Last but by no means least, and definitely not forgetting him under any circumstances whatsoever, it's Northern Bastards.
Yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10. There was, I think I do agree with Darth a little bit on the Iraqi-Afghanistan guy, because it didn't actually go anywhere, did it? I mean, she kind of had this couple of episodes where she was getting harassed, but it kind of gets forgotten about the minute Armadillo gets stabbed. And to be honest, the Armadillo one had more effect on her character as well, because it's what led to her suspension and eventually her getting fired. Yeah, it was a pointless storyline to have put Danny in, but I think it was just something to give her something to do. But
I don't know about a pointless storyline, because it's not pointless, is it? It's a cause and effect. She was held responsible for something she didn't do that was down to Vic's team.
No, I'm talking about the guy she shot. The guy she shot, not the Armadillo getting stabbed.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Armadillo.
Because I mean that's the one that really did have an effect on her character. That's the one that where there were true consequences that she was not to blame with, but it was a consequence.
Yeah, I felt that sort of was. Yeah. It felt like they were going to do more with that, and then they changed gears, and it sort of just got written out. I mean, and again, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but things do change in production. It does happen.
That was that was a John Badham episode, wasn't it? That one.
Oh, yeah. John Badham.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The bloody the hardware guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still a good season, and like Toxic said, it found its feet. It really developed the characters more. It developed the story more, and the this world that they live in, this disgusting, corrupt, crime-ridden world that we get involved in with.
Sure. Well, what is your rating for the show out of 10 this season?
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
9. Okay, 9 out of 10.
9.
All right, well, the score's a pretty high respective score. Razorhead is in the chat. Thank you for plugging my book. Did I mention I got a book out?
Lance, you did a book, Lance? A new one?
Yeah, I did a book. Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God, some YouTuber ought to do like a review of it or something.
No, I think I did that already. I'm writing a new book at the minute, and I've been working on that most of today. So just wrote the 2 most difficult chapters yesterday, got them out of the way. So And there's a big section about YouTube. There's a whole chapter about YouTube in the book, in the new book. So
nice.
But that won't be out until the summer. In the meantime, you can read Silver Screen Journeys, which is available now. And if you have enough monies to buy a second book, you can get a book called Slapdash, which is about this psychotic ex-cop gay serial killer. Check that out as well. It's on Amazon. Okay, so well, we come to the end of season 2. It's been a wicked ride. We're going to take a break from the Shield now. Next Sunday, I'm on with the Inside Man, and we're doing our Entebbe film breakdown, talking about the 4 films that depict the raid by the Israeli commandos to free the hostages from Entebbe Airport in Uganda. I have been to the airport and seen the terminal. The bullet holes are still there. Well, the bullet holes in the building have they've not done anything to fix them whatsoever. It's now a major transport hub for the United Nations, so it's all got all these UN planes all around it and so on. And the jet that was I think it was an Air France plane that was hijacked. That is also still there on Entebbe Airport. It's like off to one side. It's just sitting there. Still there as of 2015 was probably the last time I was in Uganda, 2016. Anyway, so we'll be talking about these 4 movies, and with a special segue section on how not to fuck up your action scene with intercutting it with a scene with interpretive dance. So that'll be a special section. So that's next Sunday. We've got the Nielsen ratings coming up on Tuesday. Now, I need to warn my panel that unfortunately Enzo, not with my instruction, has picked this as the artwork, which is the Robbie Williams film. I have no interest in seeing whatsoever. So now we all have to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Well, so I'm going to have to watch it. The other topics we're going to do on Tuesday is we're going to look at 0 Day, which is on Netflix. I'm very keen to hear Inside Man's opinion of that show. I've got mixed feelings about it, but it's definitely worth your time. It's interesting. It's interesting.
What's the premise?
The premise is Robert De Niro is a retired former American president. He's brought in to lead a commission to discover who was behind an electronic terrorist attack on a load of the nation's transport computers, which led to the death of 3,300 civilians. And they also attacked the banking system a few weeks later. So there's, who's behind it and why. And initially it looks like it's Russia, but then turns out it might be domestic. So it's pretty good. It's there are some things about it I didn't like. But there was enough good stuff that I thought, okay, I'm glad I watched that. It's not the best thing I've ever seen or anything. Probably overall my rating would be a 7 out of 10. But I think it's worth your time. I have also watched 1,000 Blows on the Disney Channel with Stephen Graham. And that's the sort of bare knuckle boxing story.
I thought it was that the one about that girl, the porn star who. I thought it was
no, that's no,
it's not 1,000 Blows.
No, nor is it the footage from inside Toxic's prison cell over a week period. But no, it's neither of those things. No, it's. I mean, I had it on in the background today while I was working, and there wasn't a single moment where I stopped what I was doing and focused on the TV. So it looks really good, but maybe try and watch it. Just try and watch the first episode, guys, if you can, and then we can discuss it. But I think I've got 1 episode left, and then we're also going to be talking about Reacher season 3. The first 3 episodes are out, and then I think Northern it's dropping weekly after that. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
All right. Good. You
Can I just
made that
ask?
response more exciting, but you know.
Could I just ask you, Lance? As
You can ask.
After the Entebbe
Yeah.
Chew the Fat that we're going to be doing,
Yeah.
are we going to be returning to Spartacus season 2?
I want to do House of Usher, or House of Asher, sorry.
Yeah.
And I think House of Asher drops in May.
I thought it was in the autumn. I thought it was in the autumn that it dropped.
I thought it was May 25th. I might be wrong, but and it could have been put back. You know, these things happen. We definitely will do season 3 of The Shield this year. That might be the only other season of The Shield we do this year. We'll definitely do 3. Probably September going into Christmas, I think. Yeah, maybe do Spartacus season 2. I've got to think about that. I wouldn't mind doing that. It would be interesting, especially it's just obviously Andy Whitfield is no longer in it at that point. But it's still got a lot going for it. I still think they did a good job with it. But there'll be a few. I think
now says fall.
Sorry, Dar, say that again.
It's what I just looked at says that the House of Asher comes out in fall.
Oh, it is okay. It is the autumn. So if we do season 2, I might try and time it so maybe it segues into that, and then we pick up House of Asher straight after. So
hold on a second. By season 2, do you mean the prequel or do you mean?
Yeah, the prequels. It's the prequel series, isn't it? Season 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you mean Gods of the Arena? You're talking about?
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
That was actually the second season. The second season was a prequel season.
Yeah, technically it was the second season, but it's not the second season of the story of Spartacus. It's a spin-off.
Right.
I call it a spin-off series. But yeah, I would like to do Gods of the Arena actually because it's great. I really liked it. That's why
it doesn't have as many episodes.
No.
Season 2.
It's quite short. It's really well done. It really fleshes out all the background stuff with the other characters, which I really loved.
Yeah, but especially the one you like.
Well, indeed. Well, that's it from us. We're going to be back on Tuesday at 10 o'clock with the Nielsen ratings. I've got an industry interview with casting director Sharon Sorrentino on the Wednesday. I've just put feelers out for a whole load of other interviews, so we'll see what happens. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'll have more to announce in the very near future. That's it from us. Thanks very much to my panelists, Inside Man, Lord of Toxicity, Northern English Bastard, and Darth Deep Meaningful Plato for really adding. Darth, joking aside, it's great that you pick up on all these themes because I think they're very deliberate in the show, and it's really good to discuss those. So you add a lot to the show, even if you do have a fuzzy mic. All right, so that's it. Don't forget to tell the people that you care about that you love them, and we'll see you all again real soon. Bye.
Bye.